very good morning to you. Before we start, shall we have the national anthem, please?
O Uganda, may God upon thee. We lay our future in thy hands. United, free for liberty, together we'll always stand. E Mungu twaomba uilinde Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuwajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Thank you very much. You're welcome to Uganda Media Center. My name is Alan Kasuja. I'm the Executive Director here, and I'm also the government spokesman. Today, the country continues to mourn the children who died in the road accident in Kapchora. And on behalf of my Minister, the Right Honorable Kasule Lumumba, colleagues from the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, on behalf of my colleagues here at the Uganda Media Center, and I know I speak with confidence again that I'm speaking on behalf of many Ugandans, if not all of us, when I send condolences to the families of the children who have died, and we pray that God continues to give them the strength they need to go through this very devastating time. We also spare thought for the many children who are recovering from various injuries, and we feel like it's important, or we feel that it's important, that we come here as the government to reassure the nation that everything is being done to get the answers we need and to make sure that this situation doesn't repeat itself. This morning at the Media Center, we are joined by the Director of Traffic, Assistant Inspector General Lawrence Nyawine, and we're also joined by Assistant Commissioner of Police, Mr. Rusoke, who we all know is a spokesman for Uganda Police. What they'll do today is to give us a situation report to bring us up to speed with what is happening, but also to tell us what the police is doing, not only to investigate and to get to the bottom of the problems we're seeing on the roads, but also to make sure that the guidelines that were talked about yesterday when we had a joint press conference are adhered to. At this juncture, I'd like to invite the Assistant Commissioner of Police, Chituma Msoke, to come and make the initial remarks on behalf of the Uganda Police Force.
The Director, Media Center and Government Spokesperson, the Director, Traffic and Road Safety of Uganda Police Force, AIGP Nwabine Lawrence, sir, the Fourth Estate, and all those viewing us and listening to us. Just to re-echo what the government spokesperson has said, Uganda Police Force mourns together with all countrymen and women the passing of our young ones in Kapchora. We are also deeply concerned with the number of road crashes that have been registered of recent. I am not going to make deep comments. As the police spokesperson, I'll be giving you further updates. Every Monday, we do communicate to you and update you on incidences of security and safety at police headquarters. But for today, our main emphasis is going to be and capped around road crashes of recent and the number of interventions as the Director, Traffic and Road Safety, Uganda Police Force shall communicate. Without letting the cat out of the bag, allow me invite Assistant Inspector General of Police, AIGP Lawrence Nwabine, to take us through. Afande, I invite you.
Thank you, the government spokesperson and the Director Media Center, my colleague, the PRO, the media fraternity. I do welcome you here and join my colleagues in mourning the lives of the young children who had gone on a study tour. The purpose of coming here is to give you the update on this road crash that occurred in Kapchorwa involving school children. So far, we have registered 24 deaths. Previously, you had got the information that the death was at 21. As I speak now, 24 deaths was registered by yesterday evening. Out of the 24 deaths, 21 were in Kapchorwa Hospital. And 3 in Mbale Hospital. Out of the 21 in Kapchorwa, 18 bodies by yesterday evening had been identified, and 3 had not been identified. The 3 who were in Mbale had also not been identified, and therefore the total unidentified are 6 bodies. And hopefully, by the end of the day today, all bodies will be identified. Among the identified, there were students who were in that school, King David. And their origin is South Sudan. The two bodies have been identified. Those students who survived the crash, by yesterday evening, they had been brought to Kampala and they traveled in a gateway bus that was inspected by police and allowed it to move and brought the children to Kampala. This accident happened in a sharp bend along Mbare Kapchorwa Road and in the evening hours. Among the dead was one identified as the director of the school. Yesterday, the minister addressed the nation and gave guidelines. And he announced the suspension of school trips. Immediately that announcement was made, police had to draw a withdrawal plan. And this withdrawal plan covers 3 days, and within the 3 days, the students and those school buses will have reached their destinations up country. In this plan, we reorganized our patrols, especially the integrated highway patrols, and we also reorganized our deployments along the highways. Last night, we had 19 buses at Njeru near Jinja Bridge, at the Nairo Bridge. And in the morning, we had to flag them to proceed their journey. That action is or was in line with what the minister said, that we restrict buses from traveling at night. And therefore, the guidelines given by the minister immediately were put into action. Secondly, the buses were inspected by our IOVs and we allowed them to proceed. The drivers were checked to the extent of ascertaining their sobriety status. And indeed, by now, we have not received any information of any road crash involving those buses. We want to assure you and assure the nation that the situation is not out of hand, it is under control, and strictly we are going to follow the guidelines that you received from the minister yesterday. This month of July has registered many road crashes involving school children. This is because there has been a shift in the way school trips and tours have always been conducted. The school tours have now shifted to long distances, including proposals for foreign travels. And therefore, this adjustment adjusted the transport systems, and these buses that were not familiar to long journeys had to move. And this resulted into these crashes, together with the indiscipline of some of these drivers, which is common in this country. I want to end here and thank you for listening to us.
Thank you very much to the Uganda Police Force for reassuring us that they are doing everything they can to get to the bottom of this issue. It's a devastating time for us as a country, and we really, really feel the pain. We feel the pain of what's happened here, and we must ask ourselves questions. As parents of these children, when we send them on school trips, how involved are we with the preparation of these school trips? Do we ask questions about how our children are going to get there? Are we involved at all, or do we just leave it to the teachers? Do we inspect the buses ourselves to make sure that the buses are fit for our children? Do we insist on certain things to be done by the schools to make sure that our children are safe? Who is driving your children around? Or have we just outsourced our children to other people? We must ask ourselves these very difficult questions, because ultimately our children are our responsibility. And in these difficult times, we must be reminded of the fact that we have to be involved in every step of raising our children. Take these schools to task, ask them difficult questions, make sure that they provide you good answers. That is one way that we shall protect our children from the misfortunes that we faced. At this juncture, I also want to ask police to respond to what we are hearing about from last night. Last night, the situation in Katakwi. Would you like to make a statement to that effect, or to bring us up to speed on that issue? Because there's a little bit of panic with people thinking that this situation is recurring quite a lot. And the other question would be that why does it happen a lot during this time of the year? So let's have those questions answered by the police before we open up to you to ask your questions.
Thank you very much, Director. Let me begin with what I think all of you watched. This is the accident that occurred along the railway line, where the signposts were clear. It's a railway crossing, where a police officer at that time was present, and where a police officer restrained the bus driver from approaching close to the railway crossing. What happened? Even the police officer was to be swept before knocking the train. That shows the level of indiscipline on our roads. There is another accident on Uganda Road that occurred where students were coming from Katakwi. I want to inform you that that journey started at 1 a.m. and by 4:30, that is when the bus had an accident. So one wonders whether that driver had slept during the day to prepare for a night journey. Fine. Now we have this one of King David School from Kampala and having a crash in Kapchorwa. A bus hired to take students, but not familiar to that route. I need also to mention one which involved the bus, but not with the students, also in this month in northern Uganda after Guru, in Omoro, where a person who was allegedly drunk instantly crossed the road, and the driver avoided by instinct to avoid knocking him, and ended up ramming into a trailer. I was speaking earlier on to the director and said in defensive driving, maybe the driver of the bus would have swept that individual and spared the passengers on that road. This is in defensive driving. Spare the people, 67 you are carrying in the bus, and sacrifice that individual who is carelessly crossing the road. Those are the major accidents that happened in this month. However, I need to mention why this month of July. This month of July is when schools plan their trips, and they have always planned the trips in this month of July. What is special in this year 2026 July is that the nature and the way they were organizing trips were inter-districts. But now most of the trips are of long journeys that can go to any corner of this country. Those who are in Kampala plan journeys up to Moroto, and those ones in Moroto plan journeys up to Kisoro. That disorganizes the transport arrangement in the country. That most of such distances require buses, and these buses are PSVs. These are not PMOs. These are the buses that have routine schedules throughout the year. And so when you hire them, you are hiring buses, and therefore you need to plan and hire the buses that ply that particular route. This should go to the schools that organize these tours, that they should not hire drivers to drive buses who are not on those routes they intend to go to. Secondly, when you get long journeys, your vehicles should be in sound mechanical condition. In sound mechanical condition. And the drivers properly tested, and the pre-trip events, the drivers should rest enough. And along the journeys, it should be planned that they have stopovers. And these are the ones we are now going to emphasize during the time they will lift the suspension on their school trips. Any other? I need to emphasize this, that as government, we have interventions that sort out most of these issues. And one of them is the mandatory inspection of vehicles, that we can remove most of these vehicles which are not roadworthy. And this has started, this month it has started with the Ministry of Works and Transport. And we have a center in Namanve, and we are going to spread that inspection throughout the regions. We are yet to receive the schedules so that we don't stampede the inspection center, which is now in Namanve, that is very ready. So the government interventions are there, and would appeal the schools now to abide by the regulations given to them by the Minister of Education, so that we deal with the sanity. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Afande. I humbly suggest that you stay on the podium since we are live on UBC, probably NBS, and then Uganda Media Center YouTube channel. If there's any question, please come closer here, and then we have the questions to Afande.
I'm Ronnie Tatwine. My question is, I have one. The question that has been on the mouth of the public, when you look at those parents, what they are mostly asking for is, when are we getting our children? Even if they are bodies, we need those bodies. So if you're to clarify for us, when are parents going to receive those bodies, and how are they going to be transported?
Thank you very much. By yesterday, the bodies that have been identified, they have started taking them. You don't need to rush this exercise. Post-mortem has to be done, and arrangement to transport the bodies have also to be arranged. So by yesterday, the post-mortem in Kapchorwa had been done on all the 21 bodies, and the 3 that were not identified today morning have been shifted to Mbale, such that when they are identified, at least the journey is shorter. By the end of the day, we may have all the bodies transported or picked by the relatives.
Thank you so much, Director. In your statement, you have not talked about an accident that happened yesterday towards midnight, where a school bus of Buzaya Secondary School collided along Jinja Kamuri Road. You have not briefed us about that accident.
Thank you very much. Last night, there was an accident again involving a vehicle carrying students in Kamuli. Now, after the announcement that the school trips have been cancelled, we expected a stampede, that most vehicles would be returning from their origin. And so what happened was that last night, most vehicles attempted to move. You realize that immediately that crash occurred, police was in the vicinity and responded fast and had to attend to those students. However, we didn't register death, and those children are now in a better, improving condition. Last night, after putting up a withdrawal plan, when the announcement was made, we were able to contain the situation that would have been a stampede and all buses would have moved at night. Some buses were escorted to their destinations, and the whole country mounted, the Uganda Police Force mounted checkpoints throughout the country. And we had many buses and students sleeping around police stations, around schools, and they did not travel at night. So the rush that they have to go back to school is what resulted into that accident. And remember, we may not be everywhere on each section of the road.
Director, you have several traffic officers deployed from different corners of the region that connect to the center, Kampala. But it has come to our attention that all buses that are transporting school kids, they are always overloaded, exceeding the number that is allocated by the Ministry of Transport and Roads. We are wondering whether your department is in control of inspecting all buses that are transporting school children before the Ministry of Education stopped the tours.
I'm aware. But given the road network in this country, it may be difficult to monitor all these buses. In the long term, as we discussed yesterday, all school buses will have an identification color by the time they open for third term. This one we agreed because yesterday an intersector team was put in place to discuss on how to move with the directives given to the minister. And one of them was to identify buses that carry students, and it will be easy, even the public, to report them to police in case there is any violation.
Director, the last one. You have said we have 3 cases of death registered. The new cases of deaths registered. New cases of deaths that we have registered. Previously, there are 21, now there are 24. Are these adults or they are children?
Thank you very much. We have adults and a student. Yes?
Adults too.
Unidentified. So can we treat it as unidentified?
Okay. Thank you so much, Afande. I believe that you understand Luganda very well. And on that note, tusaba otuweeyo ku brief mu Luganda mukama wange.
Okay.
ngenda kugezaako okuwumbawumba ku director byayogedde nga mbiteeka mu Luganda. Ekisooka kibadde ku updates ez'ebintu ebyabaddewo e Kapchorwa. Nga bwe tubategeezezza is that omuwendo gwalinyeemu mu abo abafudde oba abafiiridde mu kabenje kano, nga ogwabadde ku baana n'abantu abakulu bonna ng'obagasse wamu 21, nga kati statistics zirinnye nga bali 24. Ne tubategeeza also that mu kabenje kano mulimu n'abatali bannayuganda mu baana abafiiridde mu kabenje kano. Naye nga be twakategeerako obulungi bali 2 nga bava mu mambuka waggulu wa Uganda mu eggwanga lye bayita Southern Sudan. Naye nga tukyakola ne okunoonyereza okulala kwonna okukwata kwamu wakyaliwo emirambo egitanaba kuzuulibwako identity zaabwe bulungi. Emirambo we twogerera gyonna kati nga gitwaliddwa nga giri Mbale. Abamu babadde claimed oba tugambe nti basobodde emirambo egyo basobodde okugituusa mu mikono gya barelatives baabwe, naye nga abalala era still omulimu gukyagenda mu maaso. Ekintu ekirala director kyayogeddeko is ekintu ekikwatagana ne operation eyabaddewo. Mujjukire nti minisita bwe yali wano waliwo ebiragiro ebyaweebwa nga mwe muli okuyimiriza amamotoka gonna agabadde gasaabaza abaana okugenda ku zi trips paka ng'ebintu ebimu bigonjoleddwa. Kati ngaawo twadde tulina okola operation. Poliisi yasoose nekola the withdraw plan kubanga buses ezo ezimu zaabadde already zimaze okutambula ng'endala zitambudde ne kilometers ennyingiko. Era bwe twakoze ekikwekweto jjo ku bridge ya Jinja oba gye bayita Nile Bridge, twasobodde okuyimiriza buses 18 nga buses 18 ezo zakoze ekive kyekimu kye twabadde twogerako, okusaabaza abaana mu budde obutali butuufu. Naye of course si nti twabadde tubasiba twakoze eki, naye ekikwekweto kyabadde yimirira, obudde bugenze, obudde bwe bukya, olugendo lutandike. Era bwe twakoze, era bwe twogerera leero ku makya, buses ezo zonna bazirekudde ne zikola ki? Ezitambula. N'ekirala kyayogeddeko kwe kuwa okunyonyola ku buzibu buno. Obuzibu buno buva ku ki? Of course okunoonyereza kukyagenda mu maaso, naye waliwo ebintu ebimu bye mwetaaga okutegeera. 1, kubanga omuntu ajja kubuuza naye luno lwe lusoose buses ogenda ku trips, nedda. Naye ekyenjawulo is that ennaku zino osanga essomero mu Kabale down eri mu South Western Uganda nga bagenda ku trip e Kapchorwa, bagenda mu Karamoja. Driver ekifo takitegeera, driver obudde bwavugira buwanvu, n'osanga nga envuga eyo eba egenda kuteeka abaana mu katyabaga. Eyalibadde afunamu stopovers tazifuna, so n'osanga nti avuga n'afuna otulo n'atomeza abaana. Ekyokubiri kye kikwatagana n'empisa z'aba driver, era director waabaweredde example. Mwalaba akatambi aka bus eyatomeregana ne train. Mu katambi ako kwaliko owa traffic. Owa traffic yakola obuvunaanyizibwa bwe n'ayimiriza bus. Ne train yokka ekifo ekyo bw'oba okiraba, visibility ya train. Kubanga si ye motoka yokka eyaliwo, n'emmotoka endala zaaliwo, waliwo ezaagezaako okuyimirira. Naye n'owa traffic eyayimiriza bus naye akabenje kamutwaliramu. Ekyo kikulaga nti bw'oba weetegereza ensonga eno, oba olina n'okwetegereza empisa y'owa driver eyali avuga bus eyo. Naye ekyo tujja kirekera okunoonyereza bwe tujja okubawa ekisembayo ku kabenje ako. Ekintu ekirala director kyabadde ayogerako is ekiragiro eky'okuinspectinga motoka. This time tubadde tusaba, era ekirungi nti ekiragiro kati weekiri, just enkola yeetannaba kutandika bulungi naye nga tugenda gitandika, ekya mandatory inspection. Mandatory inspection mu Luganda ndoza nkiyite okuinspectinga emmotoka nga kyateeka, nti emmotoka tekkirizibwa genda ku kkubo bw'eba teyise mu inspection. Era Ministry of Works, omulimu ogwo guli wansi wa Ministry of Works, naye tujja kuba naffe tubateekako kabega okumakinga sure nti ekintu ekyo tukikola, kubanga buses zino waliwo inspections ezeetaagisa okukolebwa. Omanyi omuntu ayinza okugamba nti owa traffic bus eyo bw'ogiraba toyinza nedda, oyinza obutagyekengera just by maaso ku maaso. Just basi yeetaaga netwalibwa mu kifo eky'abakugu we bagikolerako inspections, negenda mu mikono gy'ebyuma, nefuluma ng'eyina certificate egamba nti eno basi abakugu bagyekebejja bulungi, eno basi ekkirizibwa ogenda ku kkubo oba nedda. So ekyo nakyo tugenda kuba tukikolako nga tukwataganira wamu ne Ministry of Works. Ekisembyeyo ekikwatagana ne akabenje aka basi eya Buzaya akabaddewo mu Busoga. Yes, kabaddewo. It was also unfortunate. Kirungi tewabaddemu bulamu bwa there was no life lost. Naye ate nakyo police twagezezaako nnyo okurespondinga nga explanation bwe twabaddewo ne orders nti buses zikati okutambula kuvuddewo, waliwo kye twaliise nga stampede, nti wabaddewo okupapa buses n'amamotoka agaali gasaabaza abaana ne gatandika okupapa okuddayo gye gaavudde. Era mu kuvugisa ekimama mwe tusuubira driver wano yabadde akozeemu obumenyi bw'amateeka obwo. Naye nga kye tusuubiza nga police, okunoonyerezebwa kugenda mu maaso, investigations zigenda mu maaso. Mu budde obutuufu tugenda kuba tubawa ebiva mu kunoonyerezebwa okwo ne action egenda okukolebwako. Mwebale nnyo, mwebalire ddala.
Apande nga tonavaayo, omusajja wa BBS ali wano alina ekibuuzo. Kansala afune.
Neyanziza omugana wange Serumaga sinatuuka ku muteja gw'aba kansala. Erinnya nze Katongole Moses, mpeereza ku BBS Telefayina. Ekibuuzo kyange kigenda gye muli. Ebikookoto bya Fika Salama byakomawa. Enkola ya kawunyemu yakomawa. Mpozi n'enteekateeka yaliwo eya speed governor yaleetebwa. Ebyo byonna byaleetebwa n'ekigendererwa ekyokukendeeza obubenje ku nguudo. Naye tulaba nga ate bweyongera bweyongezi newankubadde tebirangirirwanga nti byavaawo bikyagenda mu maaso. Ebizimbe oba ebiyumba ebyazimbibwa ku makubo ebyokukebererangamu oba okuinspektingirangamu ebidduka ku buli luguudo lwa highway kati bimezeemu n'omuddo. Twebuuza zonna enkola zireeteddwa okulwanyisa bubenje ku nguudo. Ku mulundi guno kyanjawulo kyekigenda okukolebwa okulaba nga obubenje bumalibwawo nokuba tebusobola kuggwawo naye kale okukendeera. Neza.
Kansoke nkiddemu
Kanyongereza okwo kuba kyonna kyekimu. Tufunye omukisa nti director ali wano. So mukama waffe tubadde tusaba ku lunaku ng'olw'Emmande obeko olubu lw'ekigere mu taxi park olabe zi taxi ganyegenya zi baasi zinamukadani aziwadde akatebe olabe eddala ekitongole eky'obutwala oba basajja baabo okunguudo gwe bakola bakyaguliko. Naye nga era bw'oli mu kuvuuna mu Luganda kantwala omukisa guno tuddemu otuvuunule ku postmortem ezikoleddwa mu lulimi Oluganda naye ne basajja baabo okunguudo simanyi suulako enkesa ekiro 6:67 obuli bw'enguzi buzuse empiira gyaggwako ne pamiti tetuyina.
Ndoza kankitandikire wansi ku postmortems ng'afande bwe yazinnyonnyodde. Nendoza mbadde nina kyempaddeko nti kyetwagambye is that abantu abafiiridde mu kabenje kano bali 20 mu 4. Nga wetwogerera waliwo abasinga bonna bakoze eki babakozeko postmortem za poliisi kubanga poliisi eba erina okukola okunoonyereza ogende ku file tunoonyereza kyekikusse ne details endala ze tuba twagala ng'abanoonyerezi. So yeyo postmortem gye tutera okukola ey'abasawo era oyo omusawo aba wa poliisi. So yakoleddwa era nga emirambo gyonna by today postmortem ejja kuba ekoze eki ewedde. Naye akantu ke twongerako kokka nti waliwo bali abatanaba kujja kutwalibwa ki bantu baabwe. So beboka kwegamba kyekintu kyokka ekikyasigadde mu ddiiro. Ndoza nkunyonyodde bulungi ku ekyo. Kati tudde ku kintu ekirala ky'obadde oyogeddeko ekikwatagana ne inspection of vehicles. Ebyo ebizimbe byoyogeddeko ebiina okukozesebwa mu inspection of vehicles biri mu mikono gya Ministry of Works. Naye nkimanyi nga government tujja kuba mu maaso awo mujja kufuna more information ekwatagana n'ebintu ebikwatagana ku inspections. Katukirekere Ministry of Works ejja kujja ekyogereko mu buwanvu bwakyo. Naye oyogedde ku bikwekweto director ne waba waali wano naye ekyo nsobola okukyogerako ebikwekweto nga tubadde tukola nakati bitambula wangi wawuliddeko ekikwekweto kye bayita alive nti tuuka ng'oli mulamu. So olusi waliwo bwe tukyenjingamuko just kumanya g'ekikwekweto naye nga ekigendererwa kyekimu. Era waliwo banywani baffe abamu bwe mubabuuza bajja babuulira nti bali baguddeko mu mitayimbwa awo tutera okubafuna nga bazitoye. So ekikwekweto kyagenda mu maaso. Olusi tetubalabula dire tukikola naye ng'ekikwekweto kyo kyakola ki. N'ebintu ebirala byoyogeddeko mirimu gya traffic director waali ezo emotoka zoyogeddeko oziyise eki zikanyegenya. Director waali information tugitutte kyetwagala kwebaza kutuwa information yeyo tujja kukola ng'abantu bwe batwetaaza okukola. waliwo ekyakyendeseeyo?
My name is Christopher. I work with Uganda Radio Network.
Speak a little louder.
My name is Christopher Kiseka. I work with the Uganda Radio Network. My question is on the urban setting. We also have the vans that are transporting children. Most of them are in very bad shape. Sometimes they are driven past very early in the morning, very late in the night, and also sometimes they are overloaded. You find like a taxi that would have been taking around 18 students is carrying around 30. Even before this accident of Kapchora, we saw the minister for the youth stopping one of those vans. What is police doing? Because we can also have another disaster coming out of these school buses.
Afanda, are you okay to come and just give a hint? Oh. But the context? Yes.
What the gentleman has raised is going to be addressed in the guidelines that the minister mentioned yesterday. There is an intersector team that was formed yesterday, and it sat to operationalize the guidelines that the minister gave. What you said is what has been happening. But during this period of suspension, all those vans, coasters, and the big buses that carry children or are school vehicles will have a unique identifier of a color, such that it is possible for you, the wananchi, to report in case of any abuse, or police quickly to identify these vehicles. And that one will help us eliminate what you have said. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alan.
Thank you very much for your time today. And again, on behalf of government, we want to assure you, to assure the country that everything is being done to get to the bottom of this issue. The government is sensitive to the children. We care about our children and we want to make sure that our children are safe. And we call upon parents, teachers, and everybody involved in the education of these children to get involved in making sure that they provide safe environments for these children to thrive, and that includes transportation for them when school trips are eventually allowed again by the Ministry of Education. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Omukulu nabagaddewo. Okay. Yes, at this moment, sir, invite you for a group picture and then we, yes.